Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern for our second episode on this fine Saturday morning I should say. How are you today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks Ben. Hello FiST Chat fans, it's nice to be back.
And I should point out, I'll overlay some video here that we've got a nice view. Well, I've got a nice view here today of some nice sunshine coming through, which I'll probably go and enjoy this afternoon. And you're out and about too, I understand, so it'll all be good.
Yeah, I'm going to go and see some good old-fashioned Australian rules football at my local suburban ground.
Fantastic. Alrighty, before we get into our topic, don't forget our website, FiSTchat.com, fistchat.com. You can get all our links there. You can subscribe to our audio via iTunes, RSS and FeedBurner, our videos on YouTube, Vimeo and Digicosm TV, and you can interact with us on Twitter, Google Plus and Facebook. Love to hear from you there. We've got our ebook, The FiST Report, at fistreport.com, hosted on Amazon, only 99 cents. Great read, excellent value, and helps to support our show. And we've got our supplementary content, the weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr, and recommend us to anyone who you think may be interested in our weekly discussions on film, science, and technology. All right, well, we've got a second tech topic, and this is more of an annoyance as far as I'm concerned, because we were using the app GoPollGo to run all of our polls, and you may have noticed that we haven't been running any polls recently, and we can thank Yahoo for that, because they acquired the app and then it was all shut down. Now there's some rumor that it's going to come back in some form and they're going to reactivate it, but there's no real word as to what's happening. I didn't really appreciate it too much, because I thought that was a fairly good tool to use, and now it's a question of going to find something else to use if we're going to, get the polls happening again. This is a trend, isn't it? That these tech giants are becoming so big, and they've just got so much resources that whenever someone comes along and creates something, say, useful like this, they're going to snap it up. Whether then it continues to go on, as in this case it hasn't continued to go on, can be a source of frustration, I think. Whether they actually keep it going, who knows? For example, Skype, which we're using to record FiST Chat today, hasn't really had any sort of big changes as far as I can see, at least in terms of the conferencing abilities like we're using now. I think it's changed more on the messaging side. So Microsoft hasn't really screwed with that too much. But what do you think all of this kind of means for the development of, I guess, software and hardware and things like that? Because I was just thinking that it's kind of like the death of the mom and pop store, that where the big supermarket chains just came in and wiped them all out. Can there be that innovation of people just having an idea, starting it up and going with it?
I think so. We're seeing an amazing period here. In the last episode, we spoke about Google and what they're doing. Yahoo's, an ancient internet behemoth. But
the first search provider, wasn't it, or one of the first?
It is, but it doesn't have any hardware associations. It doesn't have an operating system. It's a website. It's a destination, and I guess they're now desperate trying to get around that. They've acquired Tumblr in the last week. Obviously, our polling application as well, and they're obviously going to try and relaunch it all together to create a reason to use Yahoo. I've never really been a big Yahoo user, and I wonder if the people that use Yahoo simply do out of force of habit.
Or whether it's just it's like they're sort of a third wheel, or fifth wheel, I should say, on a car. Google, Microsoft have a lot of cloud services that pretty much all Yahoo's doing, even though they were one of the first to kind of bring all of these in. They've suddenly become one of the ones that are least relevant in terms of providing these services.
That's right. I think the thing where they've been strongest is the fact that they've been able to have such a strong advertising revenue base because they were first on the block.
Yeah.
And they've done a number of very good strategic relationships with broadcasters and newscasters, so that they haven't been probably maybe a bit harsh there in terms of the actual service provision is actually pretty good through third parties, but in terms of software or hardware relevance, they have very little.
What about in just in general, this idea of the consolidation by these big tech giants of everything? Where, I mean, if it isn't already here, where it's kind of just a handful of really big companies that are really running the show, that we're kind of becoming reliant on, whether you're in the Apple ecosystem, the Android ecosystem. Obviously, it's not as big, but there's the Microsoft ecosystem for mobile devices, but they've still got their big PC ecosystem. So, and it's sort of consolidating into that. And there really seems to be less and less this idea that someone could start something up.
Well, I think that's always going to be the way. However, I do think there'll always be room for somebody if they come up with something useful to push it.
But then if one of these big companies comes along and buys it out, then they just kind of get absorbed into it, don't they?
Well, that's right.
Unless they do like a Zuckerberg type thing and just hold out, See, and look where Facebook is now.
That's right. I mean, I was going to say Facebook acquired Instagram for $1 billion. Now we don't know what value Instagram has really added to the Facebook business. And I don't think anyone can truly tell us that. What does Yahoo spending $1 billion or a bit over $1 billion on Tumblr do for their business? Is it really worth that $1 billion? And I know Tumblr's widely used, but how does it actually relate? Will there be ads now popping up within that service?
Or are they buying these things to sit on them? That's another thing.
I've seen it, as has been widely sort of, I guess, spoken about. It's real estate. You stake your claim and that pushes your boundary and you own that little bit of the internet. And whether or not it's profitable or anything else, you've got a big holding. And that's where, like you say, it squeezes out other players. Because if you've got the best and you're the incumbent and you've got the money, then it's very hard for somebody to set up a YouTube or a Tumblr or a Flickr to compete with those big ones already on board. So, for instance, with our polling app, if Yahoo take control of that and push that through their networks, then it'll be very hard for anyone else to come up with a polling app that will be able to cover the same sort of ground. And that's, a good example of that is Vimeo, which is an excellent platform, but just doesn't have the gigantic support behind it.
Like YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, and is forced to take a certain niche in the market.
Well, I don't know whether it's a good thing, bad thing, or whatever. It's kind of, I guess, sort of bringing it full circle. It's you kind of, people kind of gravitate towards brands, and if we're talking about marketing now, and obviously the big tech companies have their brands, and the fans will follow whichever one that they're into. And it would seem the innovation would then, in the future, would have to go through these corporations rather than someone starting it up.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I think maybe largely they do already to a certain extent. Like we only see the brands that have already been boosted by venture capital or people who are willing to take a risk to get something up to that level. I think if anyone releases even the best app today or the best, site or whatever it might be, unless you have that second level investment, it's already, the door is closed on, the internet probably to, around the Facebook era. After about 2006, and certainly since the launch of the iPhone, it's taken it to a whole new level. You can't just do a great website by yourself or get a load of traffic or start selling an app unless you actually have the backing in the first place. So, and then that gets you to a level where the giants see you and they snap you up once you're a proven and effective player.
Absolutely. Well, I guess just finally, we'll bring it back to a smaller scale. We'll just have to wait and see if we get our GoPollGo app back.
Well, a big message to Yahoo, give it back.
Yeah, because we got work to do. All right, Steve, we might wrap that one up there. So thanks again for the chat.
Anytime, FiST Chat fans. Don't wait for the poll. Send us in what you think Yahoo should do with that app. Might put it back up online immediately.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.